Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. The cold spell which we've been talking about for a while has now actually begun, and we're looking at quite a few snow risks, some significant, over the next week and a bit. Starting off with the current snow risk, that is the risk of snow showers across northern Scotland, and that's already begun. And you can see them developing quite strongly here. If I turn the weather type off, they do have fairly decent rain rates, around kind of 5 to 10 millimeters an hour, which for snow is quite significant. So quite a few areas of northern Scotland are going to be seeing significant accumulations from these showers over the next few days. And really, any time that we've got northerly air, which is basically, as you can see on this chart, if I run it through here, from now until kind of Monday and basically into Tuesday, so pretty much all the way till next week, we're going to have a continued risk of snow showers across northern Scotland. So even if these areas don't actually see any frontal snow, there's going to be some pretty significant accumulations, possibly 30 centimeters in places, especially over higher ground. So that's the pattern for the next few days. As you can see here, high pressure to our west, slightly lower pressure to our east. That's dragging the northerly flow. We've been talking about this for a while, and then the second interesting thing is that ridging is going to slightly collapse to the south, and at the same time we're going to get renewed blocking up to the north, sending a new wave of northerly flow, as you can see happening here. And by the time that occurs, we are also going to get a low pressure system moving up from the south. And for a very long time I was talking about how uncertain this was and how we didn't really know what's going to happen. And while that's still the case, the forecast is by no means nailed down. We do have a slight kind of agreement among the models with the path of the low. Now I made these different scenarios just to show you kind of what we can expect roughly with the potential snow forecast, and so this is scenario 1, if you like. Areas in white, falling snow, so not necessarily settling. Blue, light blue is kind of some accumulations, and then purple, significant accumulations. So as you can see in scenario 1, we're looking at quite a large area of the UK, Northern Ireland, and a fairly large area of Ireland as well, seeing snowfall. And then you can see, in terms of settling snowfall, similar areas of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales and the Midlands, Northern England, up towards parts of Scotland, and then significant snowfall across central and kind of higher areas of Scotland, and then central areas of southern Scotland and northern England. So that's scenario 1. Sorry, that's a different thing. Scenario 2 is if this low goes further south, and this is where we'd see probably falling snow across more southern areas of the UK, England and Wales, southern areas of Ireland, and then we'd see some accumulations inland, probably not as significant, but there would still be areas where the accumulations were very high across Wales into parts of the Midlands. Now scenario 3, which I currently think is the most likely scenario, is where we see falling snow for quite a large region, settling snow for a fairly large region as well, and then a corridor from the North Midlands up through northern England and into southern Scotland, where we see very significant accumulation, as you can see there. So those are the 3 scenarios, and I'll show you each of the different ones on the model output. So this is the icon from last night, and this was the scenario 2, so the more southern track. And what happened here was we had our low. It was fairly weak and it was fairly non-developmental, so it didn't deepen too much, and the precipitation was quite extended because of this ridge of high pressure in place. So it was quite broad, and what happened was we had a rain band pushing north into parts of southern Ireland, Wales and the Midlands, also into southern England, and then it sort of exited the UK and Ireland quite cleanly, so it didn't really push any mild air northwards. And as a result, in this scenario, we would see kind of, as I showed in the other graph, these sort of accumulations in terms of snowfall. So it'll be quite a good event. However, right now I don't think that chart, that kind of probability, that is the most likely outcome. If we take a look at scenario 1 though, we can see what's going on with this. So if we push this chart through here, you can see already our low is there's a much further extent to the north of this precipitation. Now I did a video yesterday explaining why I thought this was slightly unlikely, but the models are starting to agree slightly more, so I might have to give some kind of allowance to this being a more credible possibility. But the low is already deeper, and as such it takes a track to the north and actually continues to deepen as it crosses the UK. So this time the mild air is well into the south. We do get a period where it's snowing and then turning to rain across all of the UK, but eventually the low kind of transitions up towards more northern areas. So these are the areas seeing greatest accumulations, probably widely more than 10 centimeters. Some areas seeing 20 to 30 in the dark colors there. So that's scenario 1. However, like I said earlier, I do think the models are overdoing the level of development, and I just can't really see how we're going to actually get a 970 millibar low crossing the UK and Ireland. I just don't think it's going to happen, and that is why I think as a result we're going to start to see trends south as we approach Saturday and Sunday. And I think by the time it comes down to it, we are really looking at scenario 3, which is something what the GFS has. I can show you that now. So scenario 3 is where we do get a fairly strong low. Actually, this is showing more of a kind of scenario 2, but or 1, sorry. But scenario 3 is where we get a fairly strong low like this. We still have snow threats extending quite northwards, but the most significant snow is going to be through northern England and up into southern Scotland, as you can see there. And then we also get snow on the backside. And notice how the GFS it takes a track further north, which might correct southwards, to be honest, because we don't have ridging here, so watch for southward trends anyway. But the development is much more realistic, deepening maybe about 3 millibars or so, and it doesn't take a super far track north as the European model basically ends up over here. This seems more realistic, and potentially in that scenario we could also get this wave of snow on the backside overnight into Monday as well. So that's definitely something to look out for. Saturday, snow starting around midday for most people, transitioning to rain across the south, and then basically staying as heavy snow across northern areas. So these graphics are subject to change, but right now I'm feeling something close to this. Maybe the southern extent is in question, but this is probably my best guess right now. Now another threat to talk about for Saturday and Sunday is the threat of freezing rain, and the GFS has been showing this for a while. And that's the stuff in pink. And if you're wondering what freezing rain is, it's essentially where you get rain falling through a layer which is above zero, so it melts, the precipitation becomes rain obviously, but then at the surface the temperatures are sub-zero, and you can see that here. This blue dashed line indicates where the temperature through the atmosphere is 0 degrees. Notice how we've got this tongue sticking out. That's indicating where precipitation falling through the cloud would melt. But then the issue is at the surface it's 30 Fahrenheit, which is just below freezing, so it would be super cooled, and the moment it touches the surfaces of kind of the ground, cars, everything like that, it freezes instantly, and that would pose very big issues with kind of ice and travel disruption. So that's something to look out for. I wouldn't be surprised if the Met Office starts to issue a freezing rain warning. But we can see in terms of the winter weather, the freezing rain depth from the GFS model. Now don't take this too literally, but this is the kind of rough expected area we're seeing right now. Is probably going to be Wales into parts of the Midlands up towards northern England, and this is probably assuming a mix between scenario 3 and 1. So something between these two scenarios here is where that threat will be greatest. If it takes a track further south, that's probably not going to happen. But if by the time we were watching this video and it's the day before and we're still looking at the more northerly tracks, this is definitely something to look out for. So that's the snow risk for Saturday. I've actually just realised now that I forgot to cover the snow risk for tonight across parts of northern Scotland and northern England. This is the outlook I made for that. We're expected to see a disturbance pass through over the next couple of hours. As you can see here, we've got a nice low and troughing extends to the east, so we're going to get vertical motion and enhanced instability here. So we're actually looking at a band of snow to push through overnight, and you can see that quite nicely on the UKV. Here, there are snow showers, and then there's our band of snow, potentially significant, and that could bring some accumulations, especially to northern Scotland, but potentially a dusting to areas further south as well. In general, these features tend to last longer than you would think. So this is the rough outlook for that. Falling snow maybe into parts of northern and eastern England. Also, we have snow showers across Northern Ireland as well, and then possible snow accumulations across parts of Scotland, especially in the north. Now, following the clearance of our low on Saturday and Sunday, by this time we're going to have probably significant accumulations in place, but we actually remain in quite an unstable northerly, and by unstable we mean lots of small low pressure systems, lots of kind of unstable uncertain features which can bring localized snowfall, and the GFS has been showing that quite nicely. There's our northerly, very cold, more than cold enough for snow, as you can see on the air mass charts there, widely below 5. But also note these two small low pressure systems. Now don't take the locations literally in this particular run because they're so small and uncertain that they will change, but we have had a signal for at least 1 or 2 small disturbances to develop. Where they do occur, we're looking at extra significant snowfall, maybe 5 centimeters, possibly more. So in this particular scenario, that would be southern England and parts of Southern Ireland. We just can't say exactly where they will be, but we do know they're just something to look out for. The European model had a very weak disturbance. That's our disturbance there. The Canadian model had something similar. As you can see there's our small disturbance in the southwest. And I think the UKV model had something at the very end, had a bit of a disturbance across parts of Ireland there. So right now it's many days away, and for something like this it's very hard to forecast. Uncertainty is very low. That's definitely something to look out for, and I will do an update on that around Monday when I get back to making videos. In terms of what happens after that then into the next week, there is still quite a bit of uncertainty. It looks like we're going to be remaining chilly till at least the 8th or the 9th. We've got high pressure to the north on a couple models. That's a Canadian. The GFS was showing actually a similar thing, ridging to the north. And that might allow for at least one more snow event, probably across more southern areas as we end the week. Like I said, uncertainty is very high, so if this threat ends up not materializing, don't freak out, because this is just a potential scenario, the European model is showing a similar thing. The problem with the European model is the high pressure is orientated like this, which means the low pressure essentially hits into it and just stops, so the snow threat is lower. And also it degrades the high, so eventually that weakens and the westerlies return quicker. If the high is orientated like this, we still get cold easterly winds, and the snow threat can slide in as the GFS has it, which is kind of like that. That would be more significant. So possibly we're still looking at snow threats until the 9th or the 10th, but then after that things become even more uncertain. So I'm probably not going to say anything more on 10th onwards. That's the current update for until around the middle of the month. Lots to talk about, a lot of uncertainty, and that's about me. That's about enough from the forecast from me today. But I just want to give a reminder, I'm not going to be here making any videos from the 3rd till the 5th. So the next video will be in the evening on the 6th, hopefully, and I'll give all the updates on either what's happened, what's to come, and we'll have better confidence then. So thank you so much for watching these videos in the last few days. If you enjoyed them and you want more updates, I'll be putting stuff on my Twitter, but otherwise thank you very much for watching and have a good day. Bye bye.